going to cover kind of what all of these things are. So in this video, we're going to cover what this is and what this is, which is the second derivative. We're also going to talk about how we could use the derivative to learn about max and mins of an original function, and also when the original function is increasing and decreasing, and then we're going to cover the chain rule. I'd planned on this, and I was wrong. Okay, so the second derivative is exactly what you'd hope. If this is the original function, then the first derivative would be 7 comes down, take away 1, you get 7x to the 6th. The second derivative, which you just use the like 2 apostrophes here for, would be the derivative of the derivative. The third derivative would be the derivative of the derivative. And if you're a physics person, this might be kind of a helpful idea. If the first derivative is velocity, then the original function is displacement, the second derivative is acceleration, and then we rarely do this, but the third derivative would be something we call jerk, which isn't just like a insult, it's a physics term. Okay, so, but really in general, what you need to know is that the second derivative is just the derivative of the derivative. So this notation might be kind of helpful. The original function is just y or f of x. They mean the same thing. The first derivative, you do y prime with this little apostrophe f prime or dy dx. The second derivative, it would be the double primes. The third would be triple primes. Over here, though, it ends up looking kind of strange. And this is mostly because mathematicians are lazy. This is how you write the second derivative, and technically you should have those parentheses, but I don't know a single mathematician who actually puts them there, and it's really not that super important. You might run into this many, many years later if you're doing some super complicated stuff. I guess it should actually be this because the Q is on the outside, but don't worry about it. If you see something like this, sans the orange bit, that just means the second derivative, the third derivative. If you had the fourth, it would be the fourth derivative. Okay, quick note on notation. If I have a function like this, y is 4x plus 7 times the square root of x, first of all, I'd rewrite that as x to the 1/2, and the derivative would just be here. But this bit right here is how you'd pronounce it. Is if you see something like this, oftentimes we'll say this as the derivative of y with respect to x, but x and y are not special here. So I wrote the exact same equation, except with k's and p's instead of y's and x's. And so the derivative here would be the derivative of k with respect to p. Same idea. And if you wanted to replace this k with a picture of a cactus, you could. It doesn't matter. You just need to be consistent. If you have a k here, you're going to have a k here. You add a p here, you're going to have a p here, etc. Okay, so this is kind of why we actually care. What does the derivative or the second derivative tell us about a function like this? So this function we've got is y is 1/3 x cubed plus 1/2 x squared. And something that I might ask about this is, when is it increasing? When is it decreasing? And are there any local max or mins? Now, you probably would see this like this, where you don't actually have the graph. Now, I'm being kind, of course. So here's the graph of the green function. And if you're looking at this, we should find that x is less than 1 and x is greater than 0. The function is increasing. So here's this line for like over here. This is x less than -1 over here. Sorry, x less than -1 over here. X greater than 0 over here. And obviously you can see the function is increasing on that interval. It is increasing over here, and in between it is decreasing. That's all we're saying. And also this green function has a local maximum at x equals -1. So you go to -1, that's the local maximum. It's not the maximum because obviously there are y values that are bigger. It also has a local minimum at 0, but of course there are y values that are less than that. But I do probably want to care about the top of this and then the bottom of this. So how am I going to do that, especially if I'm only starting with this? Well, here's how. Starting with the function, I'm going to get the derivative. So dy dx is going to be x squared plus x, because 3 times the third is just 1, and then this would go down by 1, so squared. 2 times 1/2 is just x, so we just get that. Now what I need to do is I'm going to set this equal to 0. And the reason I'm going to set this equal to 0 is I want to know when my derivative is positive and when it is negative. And the breaking point between positive and negative is 0. This will make a little bit more sense when we look at the graph. But first, let's solve this over here. So I'm going to factor out an x. We're going to get x plus 1 is equal to 0. And my solutions here would be x is 0 and x is equal to negative 1. So these are the two zeros for my derivative. So let's sketch what we know about the derivative right now. We know that at x equals 0, it is equal to 0, and we know that at x equals negative 1, it is also equal to 0. Also, just looking at this, I can tell it's a parabola because we got a squared and that's my highest power. So it's either going to be a parabola that kind of goes like this, or it's going to be a parabola that goes like that. So let's figure out which one it is. And one of the ways that we can do that is using something called a sign diagram. And on a sign diagram, we're just going to put 0 and negative 1 there. And then we're going to ask, is the derivative positive or negative in each of these different sections? So over here, is it positive or negative? In between here, is it positive or negative? And over here, is it positive or negative? And the way that we can do that is we can just pick some value. Like over here, I could say maybe further than that. Like here, if I plugged in negative 2, is my derivative positive or negative? Well, if we did that here, we'd say negative 2 squared plus negative 2. That would get me 4 plus negative 2. That gets me 2. Okay, so over here, it's going to be positive. That means that I'm going to have some positive values here, but they have to eventually come down to 0. Probably that means this is going to be negative, but let's just check. So let's check. We're going to erase this, and then we're going to try and plug in. We'll plug in negative 1/2. So negative 1/2 squared plus 1/2, negative 1/2. This would get me 1/4 plus negative 1/2. That's negative 1/4. So it is, in fact, negative over here. And then if you test it, you'll find that it is also positive over here. Okay, so that tells me then that this section would be negative of my function, and this section over here would also be positive. So this is a very rough sketch of what our derivative looks like, right? This is a graph of the derivative. Okay, so what does that tell me about my original function? Well, my original function has a slope of 0 at x equals negative 1, and it has a slope of 0 at x equals 0. Before x equals negative 1, so over here, it has a positive slope. I know that this orange line has a negative slope, but since this is the derivative and these values, all of these orange values would be positive values, that means that my original function was increasing between negative infinity and negative 1. It also means that in this section between negative 1 and 0, because these are negative values, that my function was decreasing. And then over here, we got positive values again, it is going to be increasing. So let's see what that would kind of look like. I'm going to draw this in gray so over here somehow it has a positive value. And then for the green section, it's going to be a negative value, and then it's going to go down to 0. And then it has a positive slope again. And this gray graph could be, let's see if I can do this here. It could be moved up, it could be moved down, but the entire thing, I know because this derivative just tells me about the slope. This says the slope is positive for this section, this says the slope is negative for this section, and this part says the slope is positive for this direction. So it's going to look kind of like this. It could be a little bit steeper, or it could be a little bit less shallow, so it could be kind of like that kind of thing, or it could be woo, and it could be all the way up here, it could be all the way down here, but it's going to be kind of sitting like that. So based on this, how can I see maximums or minimums? And the answer is, if it was increasing and then it started decreasing, so increasing, decreasing, then my original function has a maximum. If it was decreasing then increasing, my original function is going to have, decreasing and increasing, so negative to positive, then I'm going to have a minimum. So I know that's a lot, but we can get all of this from our original graph, which is pretty awesome. So just looking at the derivative, I can tell you a lot about this graph, which is pretty sweet. And this is kind of a step-by-step what you'd need to do for that. So first, to find out where the function is increasing or decreasing, calculate the derivative. Set it equal to 0, then make a sign diagram. The zeros are going to go on the number line, and then you're going to plug in values to get positive or negatives. And then when the derivative is positive, so more than 0, the original function is increasing or it has a positive slope. Where the derivative is negative, the original function is decreasing, it has a negative slope. And then you're going to get maximums when you have something like this, it goes positive to negative, and minimums when it goes negative to positive. I'll put these notes up on the blog for you, or the Google Classroom